Good evening. This is the mode of voice I've settled on. The topic of tonight: Batman Arkham Knight. After finishing off the game, I think it's time to take a critical look at it. I should preface this with two things. Firstly, I'm a huge fan of the Arkham series, and I was quite hungry for the new one, which might just make me a tad fanboyish. Secondly, the state of the game at release was deplorable. It had and still has bugs up the arse, and is extremely poorly optimized, so even extremely powerful gaming computers will have trouble running it. Plus, many of the bells and whistles that are available on the console versions are actually disabled in the PC version. Some people will say that one shouldn't hold this against them, since they'll just patch it post-release. That's balls. A game is supposed to be done once it's released. Releasing a buggy pile of shit and fixing it afterwards won't fly with me. With that out of the way, let's start with the basics, shall we? Oh, and a big fat huge spoiler warning here. I'm going to spoil the shit out of these games. What kind of a game is Arkham Knight? The exact same kind of game as the previous three in the series. For those who aren't familiar with it, it's basically an action game. You're Batman beating the shit out of various mooks and bosses while solving some rudimentary puzzles and riddles. What isn't so obvious is what reason this game has for existing. The first game, Arkham Asylum, didn't really leave an opening for a sequel, but it didn't preclude one either. The second, Arkham City, ended on a somber and definitive note, with the Joker dead and Batman really bummed out by the whole thing. It seemed to sound the end of an era. Worth noting is that Mark Hamill, most famous for playing Luke Skywalker but also the most popular of the voice actors for the Joker, said openly that he was not coming back for another stint after this game. Then came the prequel, Arkham Origins, which seemed little more than an excuse to shoehorn in another appearance by the Joker, this time played by another voice actor. Overall, it was a splendid game, and the Joker in that one was extremely well characterized, albeit very different from the one in the preceding two games. Along comes the fourth game, Arkham Knight. This time, it seems the game is going to focus on two characters who aren't the Joker. First, there's Scarecrow, who only had a minor role in the first game, and the mysterious Arkham Knight, whose identity nobody seems to know. Splendid new characters! No reliance on the Joker, the guy the other three games were built on. Psych! In fact, because of the infusion of Joker blood that he's given in Arkham City, Batman is now possessed by the Joker! They handwave this as some kind of mad cow's disease. Yes, really, not making that up. That makes people take on the personality of the Joker after being infected with his blood. This is the really dumb part of the plot. For Batman, it manifests as a Joker appearing into Batman at frequent points throughout the game, and eventually tries to take over his mind. But only, and this makes it even dumber, when Batman has been exposed to the Scarecrow fear toxin. No, they never explain this, and double no, this is not some kind of plan on the part of the Scarecrow, he's not even aware of it. What this amounts to is that we're not really rid of the Joker at all. The plot of the game still revolves around him. As a further kick in the balls, he's voiced by Mark Hamill again. You know, the guy who said he was never going to do the character again? How is the ending of a game supposed to have any gravitas whatsoever if the developers just make up a half-assed reason for a new game to retread the exact same themes as the last one? They started out with something new and exciting, but ending up dumping that in favor of the exact same thing they did in the last game. The Scarecrow and Arkham Knight are present, but what they mostly do is mock you from billboard screens and via the intercom. You don't even get a proper boss fight with either. The former gets his neck infected with fear toxin in a bloody QuickTime event, and the latter is beaten in a succession of those sneak around and take down enemies while not getting detected scenes that were the basic fucking gameplay mechanic from the very first game in the series. None of this makes the game bad, mind you. Just a case of missed opportunity. The gameplay is polished to perfection, they've managed to add new gameplay set pieces without making everything feel over-encumbered with useless abilities and such. The Batmobile is an absolute hoot and gives an excellent alternative to gliding for getting around the city. The ending shows us Batman as the balls-to-the-wall badass everyone knows he should be, without making the ending too saccharine. With that said, I hope to hell they never make another sequel, and if they do, they better not include the fucking Joker. Have a good night.